definitely bought my fair share of books recently. But on this channel, I am dedicated to not only buying the books, but actually making sure that I read the books. So I'm doing a dedicated video of reading the books that I bought recently. Obviously, I can't read all of them in this one video, but this helped me get one step closer to actually reading all of the books that I bought recently. I already have one of those down. I just read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I'm excited to see if you guys like this style of video because honestly, if it's received well, I might do this a lot more. Such a mood reader that I really need videos like this often. Maybe this is gonna be a norm on the channel. The first one I am actually going to start reading is called Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. Sounds like it has a lot going on. Okay, so there's like literary fiction, there's a second chance romance, there's historical fiction. The main character, Beth, is married to a man named Frank, and they're happily married, although their relationship depends on them keeping the past buried. But then Beth's brother-in-law ends up shooting a dog that's coming after their sheep, and turns out that shot going to alter the course of their lives because that dog's owner is the main character Beth's ex-boyfriend from high school. It literally says, as Beth is pulled back into Gabriel's life, tensions around the village rise, dangerous secrets and latent jealousies from the past resurface, this time with deadly consequences. Beth is forced to choose between the woman she once was and the woman she has become. I'm really excited for this one. I am a little bit scared that it's going to break my heart, but you know, those are my favorite kinds of books. I am also in the middle of reading another book that I bought recently called One Golden Summer. This is Carly Fortune's new book. I am only, oh wait, my bookmark's not even in there. I had to dog ear it because I forgot a bookmark. Only on page 30, chapter 5, but the main character is a photographer. When her grandmother ends up breaking her hip, she decides that she is able to take time away from work and they are going to revisit the cottage that she spent so many nostalgic summers at. The main character is always taking photos of people, and she always has, even when she was a teenager, and she snapped this photo of this guy in a yellow boat, and she ends up meeting that guy many years later and they end up hitting things off. So I'm excited to continue both of these. So let's get reading. I just got out of the shower. That was so much fun. If you're having a bad week on the weekend, go outside. Hopefully it'll be sunny and just sit in your front yard, sit by the lake, sit by the pool if you have one. Just go sit outside on the grass and read your book. Oh my gosh, that gave me so much serotonin. I literally could feel my body soaking up vitamin D. I am now on chapter 15, page 99. This is I feel so happy reading right now. With this book, as I was at the pool, I kept telling myself, only one more chapter, only one more chapter. I could not stop reading. Good morning, guys. It's been like a week, I think, since I last updated you, but Ian and I have been preparing to come to the beach, so I had to get a lot of work done throughout the week, and I did read, but not as much as I would have hoped. I wanted to finish this book before our beach trip. It did not happen. I have like 110 pages left. I loved that I read this right before the beach, or started to anyway, because it was getting me so excited. And I love how Carly Fortune romanticizes summertime and just being at the lake or being at the beach and being tan and letting your hair just be its natural self. I like their romance. I think it's really cute, especially because they kind of start out as friends and they're basically accomplishing a lot of the bucket list items that she made when she first got to the lake with her grandmother. She wrote out a whole list of things she wanted to do this summer at the lake that she never did when she was a teenager. The love interest his brother and his wife, they are the 3 people that she took a photo of on that yellow boat when she was a teenager. And I think that really inspired her to actually start her list because she saw how carefree and how much fun they were having. I'm hoping that I can finish this up at some point while we're at the beach. I'm reading other things at the same time. We shall see, but it is a very stormy morning. So I am going to just be hanging out reading for now, and then we're gonna go get a matcha. From the beach and we are burnt. Get in.
I'm a tomato.
Yeah, same, honestly.
Roasted alive. You got more, just a little crispy.
Yeah. I don't really burn.
I'm like a baked salmon over here. Pink and raw, bro.
I feel so bad. Is it painful?
My thighs.
Oh. Beagle, I'm so sorry. We just got pizza. This is Ian's, this is my gluten-free, dairy-free pizza. So we're just gonna be hanging out, probably talking. I don't know if we're gonna watch anything. And then I'm going to get back to reading tonight, which I'm very excited about. I have like 40 pages left of One Golden Summer. So hopefully I can finish that tonight and update you guys with my thoughts on it. Pizza! Time since I last updated you. I came back from the beach. I finished One Golden Summer at the beach. I love how she always has these really big plot twists in her romance books, and I never see them coming because most of the time it's the most out of pocket, unpredictable plot twist, in my opinion. One thing I really don't like in romance books is whenever the male main character and female main character, when they just basically decide that they're not a good fit for each other, which is like, you've been falling for each other this whole book and you're obviously perfect together. It's kind of a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, and it was starting to go down that route, but I loved the resolve. Yeah, I feel like I have beach brain right now, so I can't even really think. I definitely want to continue reading some of her other books because I do like her writing. I think I would end up rating it like a 3.5 just because I loved how the story took place and it was so summery. It was definitely the perfect beachy read. I guess that's it for my updates here. I'm sorry, that was like the worst review ever. I'm so sad. Back home now. Now on to the next book that I'm going to be reading that I bought recently. So I actually started one of them. I started Real by Kennedy Ryan, and I actually started reading this with Haley. Haley and I did a little video where we each wrote down 5 books we want to read, put it into this jar, and then one at a time picked a random slip, and the last one that we drew was the one that we had to read. The last one we draw is the book that we buddy read.
We are not reading The Four Winds by Chris and Hannah.
No! And now you guys know she is gone doing 50 states in 50 days with Ryan. So that is why we really wanted to do this buddy reading challenge. And we started Real. This is about Neva, who is the main character, and she's been on Broadway until she's picked up by a Hollywood director that sees so much potential in her being cast as the main role for a Harlem Renaissance biopic. And there's also attraction between the director and then the main character. I feel like that kind of happens really quickly right off the bat. It's almost like instant attraction. I got to chapter 16, which is not quite 100 pages in yet. That is page 86 or 87. And I'm so sad because I love Kennedy Ryan's writing, which I was really excited about, especially learning about this woman, Desi Blue, that Neva is playing, and learning about her history, especially during the Harlem Renaissance. That's so interesting. That's just a period of history that I'm super interested in. And then another thing that I'm really liking is the main character. She actually has an autoimmune disease. In one chapter, you see her at the doctor's office, and it was just so different reading something that I felt like overlapped my own life in some ways, and I was so impressed. Like, I know Kennedy Ryan does a lot of research going into her books, but I was absolutely blown away, and I was just like, this is crazy. I feel like I'm literally talking to my own doctor in ways just with the language. The main character has lupus, and so she's talking to her doctor about some lesions on her scalp, and her doctor is talking to her about flare-ups, and the main character is talking about how she was nervous that she would get into a flare-up because of the stress of opening one of the shows. And I was just like, I just feel like that's such an amazing detail she put in the story. Stress is a huge trigger for autoimmune flare-ups, and a lot of times it's things that my doctors taught me that you can't exactly control sometimes. Like, I remember one time I got in a flare-up around Christmas time, and Christmas is really exciting. Our bodies can't really tell the difference between having like happy, excited anxiety and then just having more of a fearful anxiety. So reading that, I was like, oh my god, she wrote that perfectly. And that was really surreal reading about, and just seeing a character experience that and know what that's like. Yeah, so I just had to share that, but some of the spice, I feel like it can be a lot. And so for right now, I am just going to soft DNF it. I also just read The Teacher by Frida McFadden, which was so fast paced, and now I have the residual effects from that. The next book that Haley and I are reading, it's Taylor Jenkins Reid new book. I think it's called Atmosphere, and I want to get it on my Kindle. I don't know if you guys would consider that a book that I bought recently, but if I'm buying it, then I guess it would be. But I think I want to read that one in this video as well. It's my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, I think. For now, I definitely want to start Broken Country, and I also want to start that book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Page 113. How many pages can I read before finishing my matcha? That's it. Because I have been struggling so much recently. Like, this book is good and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the characters, I love the story, but I'm struggling to actually pick up a book and read it right now because none of them I have been loving. And I think this one has the best potential out of like the 3 books I've been reading recently. So I'm just gonna stick with this one, see if I can finish it in a timely manner. How many pages can I read before finishing my matcha? Let's begin. Starting on page 113. for. I don't even know what to say right now. So I finished Broken Country. Finally, I feel like it was taking me so long to finish any book the past week. Like, I kept starting books and not finishing them. This was the one that I was the most interested in the entire time, and I'm so glad that I picked up this book like on a whim. So this is devastating. It is actually heartbreaking. That's a forewarning for you if you're thinking about picking this up. It is not like a happy feel-good story. It is heartbreaking. Okay, I was kind of shocked because I thought the story was going in one way, and then by like part 3 I realized it's completely different than what I was thinking. This is difficult because you are rooting for all of them. There was one character for me that I was rooting for pretty much the entire time, completely loyal to this one character and felt so terribly bad for them. And the other characters, it's hard because you don't condone their actions and you hate the decisions that they're making. And that made it really difficult because you still, of course, care for them. Just a little briefing, this follows Beth and Frank. They are happily married. Frank is so tender-hearted and they just have such a quaint life on this farm. It's Beth and her relationship, so like with her husband Frank, with her brother-in-law Jimmy, with her sister-in-law, her best friend, with her sister, with her parents, and then with an ex-lover from her past. And you know from the get-go that they lost their son. So you see them recalling these past memories that they have with their son and what life was like with them then. And then you also see the present day where they're at in their marriage currently. It's kind of like where the crawdads sing, where you are getting this one chapter that's taking place during the trial because someone died on the farm, and you're trying to understand this mystery of who was killed, which is interesting because it is literary fiction with some historical fiction, but there is this undercurrent of a mystery. I would say like a mystery thriller kind of. The author does not let you in until the very end with every piece of the puzzle. Like, there are some moments towards the end where I thought we basically had the whole story, but there's still some that was left out, and I was genuinely so shocked. Like, I'm still shocked, and it's once again very devastating. So the twists were heartbreaking. I felt myself welling up with tears multiple times at the end of this book. It was so lyrical, and the character work was perfect, like nearly perfect. It's just so devastating basically reading about this pull that the main character Beth has between her husband and their stable relationship, and she loves him and they've gone through so much together, and her ex-partner Gabriel, they have so much history, kind of unearthing a lot of what Beth is buried. I thought this would definitely be 5-star potential, but I would say it's a solid 4 stars. I am really glad that I read it, and I'm so sorry I have to be so brief with my review because I have to go pick up Faith from the airport. I'm so excited. As you guys saw, I finished Broken Country yesterday, and honestly, the more I have been thinking about that book, the more I've realized I have so many unresolved feelings with the ending. It felt like one of those books where you get to the end and it almost feels like the resolution didn't quite make up for like all of the crap we just went through in the book, which makes it feel more realistic. I hate how it ended, but loved how it ended. I'm so conflicted. I'm really interested to see if this book kind of has longevity for me and if I end up rating it higher later on down the road, especially given how much I've been thinking about it the last 24 hours since reading it. Moving on to a different book that I have bought recently that I'm so excited to read is Watermoon. And this book is stunning. One of my favorite things about this cover is, one, it's gorgeous. Let me show you this. What? I think this is the most beautiful book that I own. That's so magical. It gets better. There's origami instructions inside the book. So yes, I'm reading Watermoon. I attempted to read this months ago and I only got like 25, 30 pages in, and I just stopped reading it because I wanted to read something else in the moment. And I am so excited to actually devote my attention to this book. So this was a highly anticipated release for me. I'm jumping back into the Japanese fiction. This has a romance in it, has magical realism. Basically, from my understanding, there is this little pawn shop in Tokyo and not everyone can find it, but most people will see it as a cozy ramen shop, and then only the chosen ones, the people who are lost, will find it as a place to pawn their life choices and deepest regrets. And so the main character, her name's Hannah, she wakes up one morning, actually her first morning being the new owner of this pawn shop, to the place being ransacked, and the shop's most valuable and prized item is missing. Also, her father is missing. So then this man ends up stumbling into the shop, and unlike all other customers before him, he actually offers help instead of seeking help. So he helps Hannah go on this insane journey trying to find her father. And listen to this. They must journey through a mystical world to find Hannah's father in the stolen choice by way of rain puddles, rides on paper cranes, the bridge between midnight and morning, and a night market in the clouds. It's just otherworldly. But then it says, as they get closer to the truth, Hannah must reveal a secret of her own and risk making a choice that she will never be able to take back. I'm so excited to read this book. So it's close-ish to 400 pages. So it's a pretty decent sized novel. I'm really excited to read it, and especially just to like tick some books off of my TBR that I've bought recently, because that's something I have been wanting to prioritize this year, is quickly getting through the books that I've bought recently. So I'm feeling really good right now. I feel like we have started reading how many books in this video so far? This will be the 5th one, and hopefully this will not be a DNF. I have hope that it won't be. I'm going to get started and get cozy on the couch this evening, but first I have a special guest that I have to show you. Faith!
Hello!
Faith is in Austin. I'm so excited! I know, I'm so excited. What are you reading right now?
Currently, well, I haven't started it yet, but I'm about to start Pines by Blake Crouch, which we all know, we are Blake Crouch lovers over
Yes.
on both our parts of the internet.
I'm so excited because we're planning on buddy reading it. Finished Watermoon, and I don't even know how to talk about this book, which makes me very, very happy, because every single time I read a book that I really love, I struggle expressing my feelings about it and like what I loved about the book. So buckle in, because I feel like this is gonna be a ride, especially editing back the footage. I kind of see how I was struggling with the books that I was reading. Got some DNFs in this video, just wasn't loving any of the books that I was reading. And then I read Watermoon. I have been highly anticipating reading this book since the beginning of this year, and I'm so glad I finally read it. Honestly, I wish I could reread it again for the first time ever, because this was such a fun book. I've never read anything quite like this. It is so whimsical. I think the structure of this book though could actually make or break the whole experience for someone. For me, I feel like I did enjoy it, but I just kept reminding myself that this is such a unique book. I felt like I was reading a Studio Ghibli movie, which I love Studio Ghibli so much, and I want to read more books like that. I feel like it just really satisfies like almost this childlike desire in my heart. I don't know why in my head I thought it was going to be more cozy, and it was not actually, and the stakes were actually pretty freaking high. Now, some of the things I did not love, insta-love. I mean, I feel like there is insta-love pretty much immediately, which is not a spoiler because it's basically at the beginning of the book. And I didn't love that because it just didn't make sense to me. I feel like they literally met and then immediately fell in love with each other, which I just wasn't buying, and it felt a little bit out of place. And then like even their conversations, I feel like were a little bit odd. I feel like people don't really talk to each other like that, and so it just seemed like I was actually reading a book about people talking in like dialogue. It didn't feel like I was actually seeing it and like imagining it, if that makes sense. Which leads me to my next point. I felt like this book made me realize I really lack imagination. Throughout this book, it was so difficult for me to imagine some of the scenes. Like I would really have to slow down and take it in and be like, okay, how do I imagine this? Yeah, there were definitely some parts that were kind of difficult to imagine, which actually made me kind of confused at points, because one interesting thing about the layout and structure of this book and how she decided to write it is within the chapters, you would literally jump from one paragraph. I'll give this example because it's a part of the description, but for instance, a character will be like, oh, let's go to a night market in the sky. And then the next paragraph, they're there, which I actually really liked because it wasn't dragging it on. But if you're looking for something that's mostly just vibes, but there's also stakes, then I think you would enjoy this book. It's just kind of unconventional, I feel, but I think that also really made the ending lack because it just felt so rushed. I felt like it was confusing and I had to reread the ending. I wanted to love this book more than anyone, and I definitely still do, but I think there were some pretty big flaws. To me, I'm just like, I'm so happy that she actually put this idea on paper and gave it to us, and I think it really takes a lot of imagination to create a story like this, which is really, really cool. If she keeps writing these really fun, magical worlds and stories, then I definitely will keep reading because I think her writing will just keep getting sharper and sharper as she continues. I could not write a book like this, that's for sure. I think if I wasn't confused multiple times throughout the story, I would have loved it more, but because they were all those points I said, I still think about this book, so I would probably give it like a 3.75, maybe even a 4, because I feel like it was such a fun story. These are all the books that I bought recently. Watermoon, red, not 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 red. In my defense, I did just buy those like 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna count this as red. Attempted and DNF'd, but I count it as red because I attempted. Not red, 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 not red, not red, not red, not red. It's a lot of not reds. I mean, I've read 4. I'm at least glad that I got started, but I still have a lot to go. Let me know, which ones do I read next? Bye!